channel, RJAM News. To all Teleradio Bandido viewers and listeners, you can now watch Teleradio Bandido on our new YouTube channel, RJAM News. Hit the subscribe button and like the video. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified when a new video gets uploaded. Don't miss out on our dynamite lineup.
Hello and welcome to the World News Jam right here on DZRJ and RJTV. My name is Eric Lecain and I am joined here with Lalie Tolentino. We're here on the radio on 8:10 a.m. and on... I think we're back again. All right, we're good. So we're on the radio here on 8:10 a.m. We're on Sky Cable Channel 224, TV Plus boxes, digital boxes, GMA Affordable boxes, DT boxes, digital ready, Facebook, RJM News on YouTube. My gosh, Lalie Tolentino, we are so many different places. Lalie Tolentino, how are you? We are live back in the studio after 20 months of being recording on Zoom. In our home places. But what does it feel like to be live again on the radio here in the studio?
Yeah, we're back alive and kicking. Doesn't it feel good?
I guess it does feel good. It feels good to be outside. Yeah. Because we are, I have to say, we are back here on the radio on the World News Jam. We are a show that talks about stories going on around the world. We answer questions from our viewers, and we are smart.
Of course.
We are very smart. Lalie, before we get started here, humans are smart. If you look at the human race, we've done a lot of smart things. Okay, we've done some pretty dumb things, but we've done some very smart things. We're smarter than a sea cucumber or earthworms. We're smarter than a whale. Whales are pretty smart, but all they have is flippers, so they really can't invent very much stuff. But we have invented so many things. We have invented, electricity, rocket ships, so we can go to space. We've the transistor, the atomic bomb. But most importantly, we have invented vaccines.
Yeah.
Before, Lalie, children died horrible, painful deaths because we didn't have vaccines. People would have something like 8 to 10 children, and almost never did all the children survive. Mm-hmm. But now they have all but stamped out childhood diseases because humans are pretty smart. So the question I have is, why now do people hate the vaccine so much? I mean, did we hate the polio vaccine? Did we hate the measles vaccine? This has been bugging me all week about these kind of things because, we had the vaccines. These vaccines stopped children from dying. But what's interesting, we talked about the measles vaccine. The measles was all but wiped out in the United States. However, now it's back. It's back. It's in 15 states. There's outbreaks in 15 states. Why? Why is the measles back? Because we have vaccines for it now. Mm-hmm. And I think that the reason it's back is, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody shared something on Facebook that was untrue. Let me just say, vaccines for the measles will not cause autism. But we get our kids vaccinated for a reason, and now it just seems like people are coming up with more and more reasons not to have vaccines. And COVID looked like it was becoming under control in the U.S. Yes, we're working on it here in the Philippines, but it looked like the U.S. had pretty much under control, and then it started to rise again. And the thing is that I think that it was rising again not because of the vaccine, because of what people saw on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And they didn't believe in this miraculous invention that humans made because somebody said that it would kill you. Honestly, right here on the show, the COVID vaccine will not kill you. If it did, it would be on the news all over the world. And people say, well, they'll cover it up. You can't cover that up. If the vaccine was killing people, you couldn't cover it up. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because there was a study that came out this week with 200,000 people who had their second doses of the vaccine, and none of those people died. In fact, those people developed the antibodies in 2 weeks. And it turns out that even with the Delta virus, hospitalizations have gone down or reduced in these 200,000 by 96%. Okay, there are some side effects. Okay, will it make me turn into a zombie? No. There's slight side effects, but the bad side is very, very few. In fact, the number of those effects is so tiny compared to the effects of, say, the virus. So, in closing, in this idea, before we get started here, because it's been bugging me all week, is that generally people used to believe in science until now. And the fact that all through our lives, the reason we get vaccinated, or the reason they came up with vaccines, is to make us live longer. And sure, there's other things. Okay, if you don't smoke and if you eat right, you'll live longer. But the vaccine has been able to produce herd immunities from some of the worst diseases ever. In fact, they're still doing it. And COVID, Lalie, is the largest, most expensive pandemic in history. But the one thing that is good to come out of COVID is this vaccine. And it may have changed a lot of things in the human evolution forever. And here's my point. The trials are beginning using the exact same technology in the COVID vaccine, and they think that they have used the exact same stuff to come up with a vaccine for HIV. So, that's amazing. Moderna, who makes COVID vaccines, they say, hey, you know what, we got something here. So they're starting trials on an HIV vaccine. Okay, HIV is a relatively new disease, but there's another disease that's been around for 100 years or more. It's killed millions and millions of people, mostly kids under the age of 5. And this week they came out with a vaccine for that disease, and that is malaria.
Okay.
It will be the first vaccine ever for a parasite in humans. Humans are pretty smart. And who's going to object to a vaccine for malaria? It saves our children. Merck this week, just all this stuff happened this week. They're trying to get something through the FDA right now. It's a COVID pill that they used for, it's not a cure for COVID. Hey, there is no cure for COVID, by the way. No matter what you read, there is nothing that cures it. But there's ways to treat it. And before we talked about it on the show, the monoclonal antibodies that they use in the hospital. And that's how they treat COVID, and it's great and everything. But it's very complicated. There's they have to do injections, and it takes a while. This is a pill. They have a pill that they want to give you. And I'm just reading about this, and I'm like, science is great. Or it used to be great. The icing on the cake this week is there's a vaccine now for children for COVID.
Yes.
And they're going to start that in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Are people cheering for the vaccine for children? Not really. Not really, no. So they're speaking out about it. That, you're not going to give my kid this vaccine. You're not going to mandate my child to have this vaccine so he can go to school. Science is an evil liberal plot trying to kill us all. So I've started to keep going. Philippines, they had trouble getting the vaccine. There was mistakes in orders and massive logistical problems, people jumping in line to get the vaccine. But now it's different. Now they have the vaccine, and the Philippines seems to be one of the most susceptible countries in the world to false information or misleading information. Almost anybody in the world, and people I've been talking to all week long say that they will not take the vaccine. They don't want their children to take the vaccine. And I asked them, do you believe in science? And they say, yeah, we believe in science. But I read this thing on Facebook.
Oh.
So in other words, science is trying to keep us alive, I think, and Facebook is trying to kill us. But very soon, parents in the Philippines are going to have to make this decision on whether to vaccinate their kid. And people say, well, the vaccine, it can hurt the heart of your child. How do we know what the long-term effects are? We don't. We don't know. How would we know what the effects are of any medicine? Would we have to wait 10 to 20 years before we can take any medicine? Then we'd never get anywhere. Sometimes you just have to trust science. I don't know. There just seems to be more trust in politicians, more trust in stupidity sometimes. But we're saying sometimes these mandates where we force people to take force people to take the vaccine, so you can sit down and eat in a restaurant. But sometimes I don't know. We need to tell people, because as a human race we're very smart, but we're sometimes dumb at the same time. So I think that as far as vaccines goes, it's one of the most amazing things ever that they've been able to invent in the history of the human race. It's kept us living a long time. Why now do we say, oh, you know what, we hate them? So anyway.
Well, Eric, if I may say something about that, because it all started with politics. I'm a believer of science. I'm a believer of the doctors that remember, we all go to doctors to treat us, right? Any kind of sickness. Why now all of a sudden the vaccine is a lot of people don't believe it. They don't trust the vaccine. Why only now?
I mean, there is so much evidence that it works.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that there's so much evidence. I mean, before, there was so much evidence for all the other vaccines, but we didn't care. We didn't care about the evidence. We just took them. We took them because that's, science. Science is great. We believe in science. Now, all of a sudden, that we don't believe in science anymore.
Yeah, that is the sad part. Again, I will say this again, Eric. It started, it started in the U.S., the politics about vaccine, and who started it, right?
I mean, I can say who I think started it, but yeah, I mean, these guys that we have trusted always. I mean, Dr. Fauci is one of the greatest scientists in this particular field ever.
Yeah.
And we've been taking his advice for 30 years through 6 different presidents. And now all of a sudden he has to have bodyguards to walk around and go places because he's getting death threats. Death threats for a scientist, because he's saying, you know what, if you take this, you won't die. And I'm still, the reason I was just bringing it up a little bit, mostly because this study that I read, where 200,000 people, and they did this study on 200,000 people, nobody died. And 100% of the people got the antibodies after 2 weeks. I just, so, yeah, you can, talk about things that you've read on Facebook, but in the end, science always comes out ahead.
Of course. I'm a strong believer of science. So whatever they created there, whatever they invented there, I will go for it because it's proven and tested. So
humans are smart.
Yes, we are so smart.
We are smart. Like I said, whales are smart, but all they have is flippers. They can't really make anything. They don't have hands. But we do. We have hands, and we have good brains. I think we should trust ourselves. But anyway, so speaking of trusting us, we have a lot of people out there who listen to us every week, and they send in questions, and we try and answer these questions and discuss them. So Lalie Tolentino, what kind of questions do you have for us today?
We always have smart people sending us.
We do. We have the smartest people that watch this show.
All right, let's start from Edwin from Dumaguete. Wow, from Visayas area. Why Ryanair bonds customer who claim credit card refunds for flights they missed because of lockdown? Reason?
Okay, who's at fault here? This is the question, I guess. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are watching the show that this has happened to. People bought their tickets, but then they went to fly, and the countries they were flying to had a lockdown or didn't allow the visas for foreign travelers, so they canceled their flights.
Yeah.
And so they called up their credit card company and had them charge back for the amount of the ticket because they couldn't fly. And Ryanair is saying, well, it's not our fault. Why should we, why should we not get our money because it's not our fault that that country, shut down the country. So, and so what Ryanair did was people that decided to fly again on their airline, they bought their tickets, and then they banned them from flying until they paid them back for the first ticket that they bought. So, I mean, it's pretty sneaky, actually. It's pretty clever. But, people are crying foul because they're saying, well, wait a minute. First thing, you should have refunded the first ticket. And, secondly, it was out of our control. Now, most airlines do. Most airlines, they let you change it for free. But Ryanair says, hey, listen, we're not doing that. So if you don't take the flight, hey, it's too bad. And Ryanair said, oh, no, we were offering them vouchers. But the people that were on the flight are saying, well, you never got any, nobody ever said that to us. No. Nobody ever said anything about any voucher. So, there's a lot of disputes going back and forth with Ryanair right now. So, I think what they're going to try and do is trying to find a middle ground. But, this kind of thing, it's going to continue to happen.
Oh, yeah, because you know what? When the moment some airlines heard this, they might do the same thing,
Yes, it's like,
you know how it
why don't we just do what Ryanair is doing?
Yeah. Anyway,
which you know what? They shouldn't do. They shouldn't do. Airlines, I know how hard it is for the airlines right now. I know, blah, 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 everything. But if you can't fly somewhere, just give them a voucher or let them just change the ticket. There are empty seats on all these flights. There's almost always an empty seat somewhere. So I think, that there's a better way of doing that other than just banning people from your airline.
Right. Okay. Try to be nice, Ryanair.
Come on, Ryanair.
Okay,
let's go to the people.
Let's go to Ingrid of Las Piñas. Why abuse survivors of Catholic Church cannot sue European Court?
Interesting. This is not an easy subject to understand. We talked about this last week about the survivors in the French Catholic Church there, the people that were abused. So the European Court of Human Rights, the ECHR, ruled this week that people who were abused by the Catholic Church cannot sue the Vatican because it's a sovereign state. In other words, the Vatican is its own country. And this goes back to 2011, where 24 Belgian, French, Dutch people who were abused in the church as children, they tried to sue the Catholic Church in Belgium, and the court said no because they don't have jurisdiction over the Vatican. So people said, well, if you don't have jurisdiction, then who does? So they fought their way all the way up through the court system and finally getting to this point. And they say under Article 6 of the Human Rights Code, everyone has a right to a fair trial. And they have a right, being abused by the Catholic Church, to have a fair trial. And since the Catholics basically knew this was going on and they did nothing to stop the abuse, so these people feel that they are entitled to compensation. But the ruling of the court didn't say the Vatican was not guilty. They said the Vatican cannot be sued by private citizens because they are their own country.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's a little tricky thing to understand because there's a little bit more to it. But like I said, this came after just a week after that. The study came out that said 330,000 children were abused in the Catholic Church there in France.
All over the world?
Yeah, that's when the Pope came out and said this was our moment of shame.
Yeah.
And basically this ruling is saying that because the church is both a religion and a state, that they get a free pass to evade any type of justice for its victims. We said something like this last week, that if you were a molested child, the person who molested you goes to jail because the law says you can't molest children.
Right.
But somehow if you're a priest, it's kind of different.
They're exempted?
Somehow they're getting away with it.
Oh my goodness.
So, like I said, it's complicated, but that's kind of what happened this week.
Okay. All right. So poor people, if they cannot sue them.
You can't sue the priest.
Wow.
So if a priest tries to just run.
Yeah.
I know that's a lot easier said than done.
All right. Let's go to Debbie from Las Piñas. Is it true that synthetic chemicals and consumer products are linked to early death?
Well, even without looking at anything, I would say yes. Wouldn't you just say yes? However, if we look at why Debbie's asking this question, I think it's because of a study that was released this week that said that chemicals in consumer products like children's toys and food storage containers and makeup and shampoo and perfume are much worse than we could have ever imagined in your long-term health, especially when it comes to heart disease. And it comes down to something called phthalates. Have you ever heard that word, phthalates? In this study, they checked some 5,000 adults and compared the people with high levels of this product to people who had gotten heart disease and diabetes and cancer and had problems with body mass. And they found a link between people dying early and specific industrial chemicals, PBA, which they used back in the 50s to make plastics and resins. What it does is it makes plastics bendable. And so it's used in all kinds of products. But it turns out that this product will make you die early. And that's what this study said. That in fact, over 100,000 people every year, according to their study, die in the U.S. as a result of chemicals from this product. But the scary part in the study, and I read this study, that phthalates are everywhere. In fact, we're sitting in this room, and I bet there's phthalates in this room. They're in PVC plumbing, they're in vinyl flooring, they're in metal tubing, hoses, food packaging, detergents, clothes, furniture, car parts.
Oh my goodness.
Lotions, stainless steel, ceramic, nail polish.
Oh no. I'm looking at my nail polish.
They are the coating that's on the plastic part of pills. So you're putting them in your mouth.
Yeah.
So when you open a shower curtain, you know that smell
Yeah.
on a new shower? That's phthalates. So this is interesting. Now, part of her question was, this stuff is everywhere. So how do you not die from this stuff? Because it's all over the place. So there are things that you can do. In other words, like, don't heat plastics in the microwave. There's things about, if you, like I said, if you open a brand new product, don't, that smells so good, because that stuff that you're smelling is not great. And this causes problems with one of the biggest ones in the study, unborn children. It doesn't kill them, but it will lower sperm count in young boys. It can cause obesity. It can cause asthma, cardiovascular disease in children. According to the study, it passes through the placenta. So the mother gets it, and it passes through the placenta into the child. So one thing you can do is staying away from cleaning products with scents. Don't eat too much canned or processed vegetables. Don't use plastics to store your foods. And avoid air fresheners that have plastics labeled on the bottle, number 3, number 6, or number 7. I don't know what those are. But anyway, that's one of the things that they suggest to do. And here's an interesting thing, and you can take this with a grain of salt. It says, don't drink stuff from plastic bottles.
Oh, okay. And there's another thing I remember. They said, don't leave that, water in the car, because, when...
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
Because if it's in a plastic bottle, you heat the water up in the plastic bottle, and the stuff, the phthalates from the bottle go into the water, and then you drink them. So anyway, there's a couple of things that you can do to keep yourself from dying early. So many things that kill us.
Okay. I don't want to die yet, Eric.
Phthalates. Stay away. What a name for a product. Phthalates.
Okay, let's go to Mariano Pasig. According to Dr. Fauci, COVID-19 mandates work. Comment, please.
Okay. What Fauci is saying, he even said some things this week and the week before, it's our choice to get the vaccine. However, sometimes people need a little push in the right direction. So mandates, they believe, are the best way to do this, especially in the age of political statements and false information on social media. The key, of course, is to get more people vaccinated, which, according to scientific data, will slow the spread of the virus. I mean, right now in the U.S., President Biden made a blanket mandate. So now it's no longer up to the state governors, who are crazy in the United States, by the way, on whether they're going to be on one side of the political coin or not. So if you're a governor and the people in your state are calling the vaccine mandates tyranny and overreach of government, then you can just put up your hands and say, well, don't blame me, blame Biden. He's the one that did this. So, if you're in the public and you're losing your job or you're losing your home because you're a big-time Trumper and you refuse to get vaccinated, now you can blame it on Biden for his mandates. Or you can blame it on your own stupidity.
I think more on the stupidity.
Or, you know what you could do? Here's what you could do. If you want to work and you want to keep your job, get vaccinated.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. It really, it's just something that you can do. And they're saying now that the vaccine can ward off these new mutants. The Delta virus mutant The vaccine, before they didn't know, but now they're saying that it wards off the mutations of the virus. So I'm finding less and less reasons for people to say they're not going to take the vaccine. So I think these mandates saying that to go to the movies, to go to a restaurant, to go into any kind of, I think it's okay.
Yeah, even here, look at that. Look at the what they're doing now. You cannot go to anywhere if you are not vaccinated. They will ask you, even a salon. They ask you, "Are you fully vaccinated?" And they will take a look at your vaccine card.
Vaccination card.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, for those people who doesn't want to get vaccine, all right, good luck to you.
Yeah, but look at what it's going to do if we all get vaccinated. Look at what is going to happen to the Philippines if everybody is vaccinated.
Yeah, look at us now.
I mean, people are going to be able to go to work. There's so many people that had a job and they quit their job because the job said they had to get vaccinated. Just get the vaccine. It's not, I swear, if it kills you, come to me and sue me.
Yeah, me too.
Of course, I don't have any money, so I don't know what they're going to sue for. But I just think that this is something that we all should do. We should listen to the president, and everybody should get vaccinated, and then the Philippines can start to move forward.
Yes, that's the only way now. I mean, guys, go get your vaccine. So now I'm full of vaccine. You know, me, Eric, I have a lot of vaccine in my body now.
Yes, I know. Lalie is super vaccinated.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because one thing is I don't want to get sick. I don't want to die yet. And I don't have money to go to the hospital.
Yeah, there's a good reason.
Yeah.
That's a really good. Everybody should listen to Lalie Tolentino.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the money to go to the hospital. You know how much it costs in the hospital when you have COVID, like really bad, and you have to be incubated and all that stuff? It is like millions.
Yes, I know.
Millions of pesos.
I know for a fact. I know some people, a colleague who just died, confined at the Makati Medical Center.
And now his family's going to have to swallow that?
Right. I mean, don't die because your family will suffer paying your bills at the hospital. All right.
Unless you hate your family, don't go to the hospital and get COVID. Anyway, I'm not sure what I'm talking about.
All right, let's go to Rene from Pasig. Why did, Jaime Dimon bashes Bitcoin, calling it's worthless? What's your latest update on the Bitcoin,
I'm not
Eric?
sure how to say his first name. Anyway, this guy has been in the news quite a bit before. He is, in case you don't know who he is, he's the CEO of JP Morgan. Now, JP Morgan is one of the largest investment firms in the world. They're even here in the Philippines. And he hates Bitcoin. He has been, I'm just assuming off the top of my head that he didn't buy Bitcoin when it was $4,000 and now it's rocketed to $57,000 anyway. He's claiming that Bitcoin is worthless because, as we have said on the show before, there's nothing to back it up.
Yeah.
Currencies have something to back it up.
Yes.
Gold or the economy, but there's something pegged to the dollar in some way in every country. But Bitcoin is a currency without a country. And he's saying, hey, there's nothing to back up its value, which is true. So he doesn't buy the hype that's going into Bitcoin. Like, oh my God, you're going to make $1 million if you buy Bitcoin. He's calling it a fraud. He says it's stupid and that it's far too dangerous. A lot of the same things that we have said here on the show. He calls it the fool's gold with no intrinsic value, which is true. Yet the value of Bitcoin continues to rise. I mean, it came down a little bit. It went something crazy like 67,000, but now it's down, I think, to 57,000. But sometimes things in the world just make no sense.
Yeah.
The rise in Bitcoin, Donald Trump winning the presidency. I mean, they just didn't make sense. Both of those things are based on hype, and they don't have any real value. But one would say, they're ripe with fraud and they're stupid and they're dangerous, but somehow people buy into it.
Yeah.
And at the end, I have to say, in the end, with Bitcoin, the rich people that are buying into Bitcoin, that are leveraging it, are the ones that are going to benefit. But the poor people who buy pieces of a Bitcoin, whatever, they're the ones that are not. So things are just going to stay the same for him. So, of course, Bitcoin, unlike Donald Trump, does not downplay the virus, but they both have little value to back them up. So I don't know, I think these people that are buying, these rich people that are driving up the price of Bitcoin, I think it's an easy thing to control. It's an easy thing to manipulate. And if you're just somebody that's buying into it and that's buying, using their life savings to buy it, I think it's very dangerous.
Yeah, you know what? Thank God I don't have money to buy the Bitcoin.
I know. Thank goodness some of us are poor enough not to buy Bitcoin. But
yeah.
I mean, I know that some people have made a lot of money.
Oh, I know. I heard about that too. But then, for people like us, if your saving is just, not much, but don't go into something like this.
Yeah, $57,000 for a Bitcoin.
Goodness, yeah.
It's that's just, it's ridiculous. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy it because who knows, maybe it'll go up to 100,000 and maybe it'll go to zero.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, too bad.
If I did, I would tell you.
Okay. Oh no. Okay, Aaron, let's go now to Health Corner time.
Oh, the Health Corner.
Yeah.
Questions about your health.
Yes. All right. I'm so traditional. I just have to read from my notes here. All right. Let's go to Philip of Cainta. When should you eat to fuel your workout? All right. Mm-hmm.
This is an interesting question. I've been in sports probably most of my life, not currently, but before when I was younger. And I would say there's probably 100 different answers to this question. But the basic answer that makes the most sense to me, eat 2 hours before you work out so your body has a chance to digest. Don't load up on saturated fats or proteins just before lifting heavy weights, because your body's not going to know where to send the blood and the oxygen that you're going to need to go through a workout. So this is just basic. This is, the basic premise. You don't want your body to suck up all your energy trying to digest your food. So if you need, you're going to need to maintain your blood glucose. Let me not get into it too much, because I used to really be into this stuff. So I'm glad they asked this question. Because, if your blood glucose goes down while you're working out, you're going to get lightheaded and you're not going to have any strength. You got to keep your carbs high, especially, the healthy kind of carbs. And if you're going to do a long workout, or you're a professional athlete, or you're going to be in a basketball game, you need to fuel up during the workout, but with things like, yogurt and a banana, not fried stuff that's going to weigh you down, and drink a lot of water.
Okay.
The one thing about the water thing I have to say is people go, well, you need, you're working out, you're doing all these things, you need to drink a lot of water. No, you need to drink water beforehand, especially if you're going to be outside, you're in the sun. You need to hydrate your body way beforehand, because once you get into it, you can't absorb the water anymore. You can only drink so much, your body can only absorb so much water. So it's good to drink a lot, especially if you know the next day you're going to be doing something. So the night before, drink a gallon or, a lot of water, and make sure you have enough salt in your body.
Okay.
And I always, when I used to go on these, I played volleyball, beach volleyball, I'd bring a bag of pretzels. And if I thought, I felt my body like, starting to cramp up, I'd eat the pretzels. And I mean, it sounds crazy, but it will give you enough salt to, go into your body. Because people say, well, you need to eat a banana because you need the potassium. Once you're starting to cramp up, man, it takes hours for potassium to go into your body. So, you're going to need to get the salt in it really quick. And you need, just keep drinking a lot of water. And I think that that's the good basic premise. Yeah, I know there's so many different other possibilities and things. You can read about this forever, but there's the basic gist of what seems to have been working for the last 100 years.
All right, take it from Eric Lecain, because he's an athletic person.
At one point in my life.
Yeah, but I don't know now.
I don't know now either. Now I had a hard time getting up the stairs. Anyway.
All right, let's go to Zenny of Makati. All right, in Zimbabwe, 15-year-old girl, while giving birth, exposes dark practice of child marriage. Any knowledge on the issue?
Yeah, this was a big story. This was a really big story. And I've spent some time in Zimbabwe. I know what it's like there. And this is a sad story. In Zimbabwe, a third of all girls under the age of 18 are married. And 5% are under 15 are married.
Very young.
This is something they've been trying to stop for some time in Zimbabwe. But this week, something happened that was really bad. Hopefully waking up the powers that be, when a 15-year-old girl was giving childbirth and she died. And, giving childbirth is the most dangerous time in a woman's life.
Yeah.
And this young girl was married. She was 14 when she got pregnant, I think. She married a 26-year-old man. And this man was from the same church that she attended. And that's where a lot of these marriages in Zimbabwe are put together. They're put together in the church. And many times they're put together in the church together with the parents. Okay. So the parents are part of it. And this is the case. This is why this girl who died, her husband and her parents are now in jail.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're being held in jail, for multiple reasons. But, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with them because this girl was, I don't want to say forced, but they're arranged into marriages. And, in Zimbabwe, you're not supposed to have relations with a girl under 18. And if the parents are the ones that set the whole thing up, they're in trouble.
Is it part of their religion, you think?
Their religion is Christianity.
Oh, really? They are Christian?
Yeah, it's Christian. Yeah, I can't remember what the name of the church that these particular people belong to, but it is a Christian church. And many of the Christian churches there, like they used to in the United States and all over the world, they marry girls to other guys in the church. And sometimes the girls are very young. And in that case, and they're not supposed to. I mean, Zimbabwe has rules against this. And this is just one of those cases where they married this very young, very, very young girl, and she got pregnant. And then, in Zimbabwe, if you've ever been to Zimbabwe, getting health care is not that easy.
Wow.
And so this poor young girl didn't have any health care, and she ended up dying. There is, there's a girl there now that is, a 9-year-old girl that was married off. So, I mean, I read some other stories. And, these churches, they have the facilitators and they are behind these marriages. And they encourage the parents to get their girls married off. Because if they marry off the young girls, then the parents won't have to feed them anymore. And, it's hard in Zimbabwe. It's a very poor country. Their economy is horrible there, especially right now during this time of the COVID when tourists can't come because most of their income is from tourism. So, you marry off your girl. And they say in the first month of the year in Zimbabwe, they had 5,000 pregnancies of girls under 18.
Wow. My goodness, thank God I'm not there.
Yeah, so this is something that, in Zimbabwe and the rest of the world, I think that this is something that they really need, governments really need to start to focus on.
Yeah, because this is not a joke. This is not like marrying your daughter to somebody who is older and maybe they have money, that's why they're doing it. But
even here in the Philippines, I have to say. So, hopefully don't marry girls under 18.
Yeah, take somebody older. Okay.
Get an older woman.
Yeah.
Lalie is single.
Yeah, available, negotiable. Anyway, let's go to Mina of Quezon City. Former Vice President Noli De Castro withdrew from his senatorial bid. Do you think he made a smart move? Should other candidates follow?
Here's an example of a TV personality running for office.
Yeah.
And I know in the Philippines, people love TV personalities.
Yes.
And they love to vote for them. But maybe this guy made the right decision.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Yeah, because he already served as vice president under President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, right? Now, and then because he's a journalist, then after his term he went back to journalism. All right. Now I know maybe somebody convinced him to run as senator. And the good thing after praying or consulting some people,
clamoring. They're clamoring.
He said, okay, maybe, and he said that, okay, for those people who said that they're going to support me, I just want to, go back to my career as a journalist.
Okay.
And which is a very smart thing to do because, if you're running as a senator, you need a lot of money.
Yeah.
All right. So now, okay, he may not have that much money, but then, remember, Eric, I said the last time, there are 176 people running for Senate. So, I mean, maybe he said, okay, I don't want to be part of this.
Yeah.
So, that's my, point for, and I salute former Vice President Noli De Castro from doing that.
Okay.
Smart move. Yes, sir. All right, now let's go to another. Okay, all right. That's another one from George from Manila. Did you watch the message of TV host Willie Revillame about not joining the senatorial race, even there is clamor?
Oh, the clamor. Yeah,
Yes.
there's a lot of clamor. You know, I think with this guy, because he's very, very famous, I think what he wants to do is good for the Philippines.
Yeah.
Him being the Senate is not helping anything. Like I said before, you know, Philippines, they love to vote for people that they've seen on TV or a
Yeah.
movie star. And they're voting for people, a popular person instead of someone who really understands the law.
Yeah.
And someone that could really do well in the Senate, as opposed to someone who is just being told what to do by someone else because they have no idea what they are doing because they're a movie star.
Yeah.
They haven't had time to spend in politics or law or studying, and they probably don't even want to, but they like the idea of being in the Senate. So now you're there and you're just, you could say, sometimes a puppet for someone else or the person who's giving you advice. And is that, you know, is this the right kind of person to be in? And I think this guy saw that.
Yeah. And I was touched by his, when he says something like, I don't speak good English. I don't want our good senator, some kind of bully me when I'm there. I don't know the law. How can I make the law? Things like that,
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot has to be said for what this guy just said. Maybe some other people could, latch on to. I mean, when you look at some of the people that have won the Senate, you have to go, do they have any experience at all in this particular thing? Are they lawyers? Do they know? And people go, well, we don't want people like that. Yeah, you do.
Of course.
I think you do. I think you need people that understand the law and understand what's good for the country.
Yeah.
And I know what people, sometimes people think that, well, I'll do all these things. I'll help the poor and I'll do all this. It's a lot harder than you think. It is. It's the Senate is no, roller coaster. I mean, it is a roller coaster, but I mean, it's not, it's not that easy to be a senator.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they need to leave it to people that really know their business.
Yeah, because what they do is they hire the lawyers to work with
Yeah.
them. But it's different. If you yourself know the law, it's easy for you to, because, if you run for Senate, you are a lawmaker, right? But if you don't know anything about the law, then what? What can you contribute?
You have to rely on somebody else.
Yes.
And
that's
you have
the
to hope
problem.
that they're telling you the truth.
Yeah. So that's why I really admire Willie for saying that. And, another salute to another guy.
Good going, Willie.
Yes. He said he will just help people the way he's
Yeah.
doing it right now. And I think that's the smartest thing to do for him.
I think that's what the Philippine needs.
Yes. Somebody like Willie. All right. Let's go to James of Manila. Level alert 3. So now many establishments are open. Can you smell Christmas will be merry this year, Eric?
I have to say, I don't smell it yet.
Not yet.
And I've been sniffing. Not like before. Before, usually Christmas is in full swing by now.
Yeah.
The Philippines clearly has the longest Christmas season of any country I have ever seen.
Of course. 4 months.
I mean, what is it called? The Burr months?
Yeah, Burr months, yeah.
Start going on in September. I mean, in 2020, I didn't even notice Christmas. It just passed me by. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? It's all right. It's COVID. Let's just wait till the next Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, it's the next Christmas.
Yes.
And restaurants are open to about 20% of the population now. So if you've got your vaccine, which is about 20% of the people, restaurants are open to you, but it's just not the same as I remember it before. There's Christmas music, there's really bad Christmas music out there, but it's not blaring at you like it was before. I have to say, it's already October, and I have not heard the Mariah Carey song yet.
Well, I know you don't like that anymore, so maybe they listened to you. They said, okay,
I don't know. I'm waiting for Mariah Carey to make a comeback because I'm sure she's coming back soon. But yeah, I mean, I just, I walk through the malls and it's just I'm not smelling it. I just don't feel in the Christmas spirit like I have before. In the Philippines, where Christmas is like slapping you in the face every time you walk into a mall or whatever. Christmas is there. It's everywhere. It's just not here yet.
Okay.
I don't feel it yet. I don't know if you do.
Not really.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's not the same as it was in the past.
You know what? At this point in time, pandemic season, you know what I feel? I just feel like, what? Christmas? When?
You mean it's Christmas already? Weren't we just in Christmas? I thought it was just Christmas just now.
Okay, so we don't feel it yet? Now.
I have to say, really one quick thing. Before I would have trouble like, what day is it? What day? Now it's like, what month is it? I don't even remember what month it is. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, okay. Now, let's go to Oscar from Cainta. Okay, here we go. Many Filipinos complaining before about the vaccines and government not doing anything about it. They keep explaining why, but of course you hear opposition. Now we have a lot of vaccine, but problem is LGU or the local government cannot handle it because of lack of vaccinator, and still some don't want to be vaccinated. Your thought, please, and advice, Mr. Lecain.
Well, President Duterte says that we should go into villages and vaccinate people in their sleep.
Yeah, I heard that.
He said he'll lead the charge. He'll go right in there with them. Like, shh, I could see Duterte now. Shh.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go, yeah.
So, the Department of Health came out and said, "Oh, you know what? We're not really doing that."
Of course.
You have to have the consent. You have to consent of people in order to vaccinate them.
course.
But the vaccine czar, he said that we have enough vaccines now, so there's no problem with supply. Some officials were saying that they were going to bypass the government and get the vaccine on their own, but the czar says that that's not necessary right now.
Yeah.
Now, I personally have not heard about the lack of vaccinators in the LGUs.
They said it.
Maybe there's some news. I didn't hear that yet, but I've heard a lot about vaccine hesitancy amongst people in the Philippines. I've heard firsthand about sons and daughters who are in their 20s and they want to get vaccinated, and the parents are refusing to allow them to get vaccinated. And now the government is looking to vaccinate children, so how is that going to go? So if they won't even let their 20-year-old kids get vaccinated, what are we going to do about the young kids? So, I mean, this is something that, and I have to say, the silliness that Duterte comes out of his mouth sometimes
You know how
I
he
have
is.
to, sometimes I agree with him.
At some point, yeah.
At some point, if we're going to get through this thing, sneaking into villages and vaccinating people in their sleep, okay, we're not doing that. But, there have been so many problems that the Philippines has been plagued with this vaccine. And people are complaining and they're blaming the government and all these kind of things. And, we just have to think about, what is the smart thing for the Philippines to do? And they need to get smart about how they're going to do this. And if there's trouble getting vaccinators, I think that's a problem that they can solve. Vaccine hesitancy, I don't know what the answer to that is yet.
All right, maybe. What they're doing right now is like, okay, now, alert number 3. So a lot of establishments are open. And like I said, even the salon and other restaurants they are not allowing people if you are not vaccinated, because they really have to see your vax card. So if, let's say, I am not vaccinated yet, maybe I'll think twice. Maybe I should really get vaccinated.
I mean, you can't work.
Yeah.
Many companies will not let you work if you're not vaccinated. And people are going, oh, well, all right, then I just won't work. But then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's a great excuse for not going to work. Oh, I can sit home. But if you sit home, you're not making any money, and eventually you're going to need to eat. So I think, the vaccine, how much does the vaccine cost now, Lalie Tolentino?
It's for free.
It's for free. And I have gotten the vaccine, and honestly, when I got the vaccine, me personally, I didn't even know I got the vaccine. When the first thing they shot it into my arm, I'm like, did you do it already? And then afterwards, I didn't feel anything. I know a lot of people said, oh, I felt a little sick or whatever. Me personally, I didn't feel anything. And I'm a 50-something plus year old guy. So I think this, it's the thing that people are saying is it's going to kill you, and I guarantee you it's not. And I think, people are saying, well, my kid doesn't need to get this because it doesn't even affect the children. It doesn't affect children very badly, but the children can still get it and they can still spread it.
Yeah.
So if you want to send your kid back to school, unless you like having your kid at home, I think it's good to get, I think the one thing is when they start vaccinating children, I think everybody should take all their children down and get them vaccinated right away. For that purpose.
Yeah, there's a report already that they started the vaccination for kind of children, and they said because they have to do it first at the hospital. So just in case there will be some adverse reaction, they can easily treat the kids, right? So they're doing it already. So I hope a lot of Filipinos will follow that because it's for the good of their children, not for you parents sometimes because.
Yeah, and you don't want your children in the house all the time. They're driving you crazy.
Yeah, because if they're home,
you need to get them out of the house.
Yeah, exactly. That's why.
We need to go back to school. I know, most kids, I have to say, most of the kids that I have spoken to, they hate this at-home module stuff.
Yeah.
Most kids that I have spoken to actually like going to school. They like seeing their friends. They like to go to school. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is for them to be vaccinated.
Yeah. Yeah, for the sake of your own children. I mean, don't make a problem anymore, so we can all be free going out. So by Christmas, everybody will be, partying with our friends, relatives, so you can get your gifts.
Yeah, and you're not, your child is not going to die from COVID. And they're not going to get that sick from COVID, even if they get COVID. However, grandma, who the child may jump in grandma's arms and sneeze on her, and then she's got COVID, and she's could be a $500,000 hospital bill.
Yeah, not only that,
$500,000 peso.
Millions.
Million. Hospital bills. So I think it's important to go ahead and get your child vaccinated, and to get yourself vaccinated so you can go back to work, so you can make money, so you can feed these kids. I think there are just so many. There's a list of reasons, and now we've sort of lost track of what the question was, but because we keep saying the same thing over and over again about this. But I think that is our advice is to there's just I don't see any good reasons now not to take the vaccine.
Yeah, a lot of vaccine now, so please don't give us excuses of not getting any vaccine. Oh, there's no vaccine. There's a lot.
There is now.
A lot.
They've got a lot now. In fact, the problem now is not the vaccine; it's getting people.
Yeah, that's a problem.
They have vaccine. They don't have enough people. So I think it's good to let's just do it as a country, as a whole. Let's just do it and get the Philippines into the next, year. Let's even get through this Christmas season without killing each other.
All right. Oh, now let's go to Miguel of Taytay. Okay, did you read many write-ups about the presidential candidates so far? What is your observation?
How could you not? They are blasted in my face everywhere. At this point, it's hard to say what's going to happen. I mean, in the middle of November, when the substitutions start to fall into place, then we'll have a clearer understanding. Start to get it. But I think what's interesting this week, and every week we're going to have something new and something interesting, because I'm reading this stuff all the time now. But what was interesting, I think, this week was the resurgence of Lalie. Remember when I said that I didn't think she was going to do all that well because she was so low in the polls? And now she's moving up. Remember how many years ago it was where I said, I think Binay is the clear winner. I think he's going to win the election. Look what happened. So this week, Lenny seemed to get a bit of a boost. We'll see what happens next week. But, the troll armies are after her. They're going after her full force, which means that she's becoming a factor. And, the biggest thing that they're saying about her is she didn't do anything as vice president. Okay, so I looked it up. What did she do as vice president? And, it's not exactly true to say that she didn't do anything as vice president. Now, it's true that, she wasn't given a cabinet position, and Duterte shut her down. Because like a lot of people, she spoke out against the president, and if you speak out against Duterte, it's not going to be good for you, especially on Facebook. But when the administration was having trouble managing the pandemic, she stepped in and filled the holes. Free transportation, the dormitory for frontliners, the program for test kits, face masks, food kits. She did a lot of stuff. It was pretty impressive what she did, especially for the middle and lower class. So, if you look at her background, and this has all come out this week, she's the dirty opposite. She's the exact opposite. She's a human rights lawyer. How more opposite can you do? Can you see her ordering police to kill its citizens? She's not going to do that. She's not going to curse world leaders. She's not going to say something shocking one day and the next day call it a joke. She is a decent person. Now, I have said on the show before, decent people don't win presidencies. They don't win because when you put them in the cage and you let all these politicians fight it out in the cage, it's hard for a good, decent person. And she is. You have to admit that she is. In fact, I would say she's more like you, Lalie Tolentino, than anything. I know Lalie Tolentino is going to hit me later after the show is over for saying that, but it's true. So that's what I think was the big thing that happened this week. They had the meeting where they tried to unify the opposition, and that didn't work too well.
Yeah. There's so many issues about it. So the only thing that I can say is this, it's too early to say that because like you said, even, the former Vice President Binay was supposed to be the winner.
He was supposed to be the winner.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I don't really believe on on this survey yet. I will wait till next year because now they will be throwing their, dirty linens later on. It's not yet. It's not official yet. It's part of the, part of the process of, being a candidate of whatever position. Well, especially if you're the president.
I mean, I don't think. Just here again, we're way before the election, so I'm just speaking off the top of my head. But if they don't figure out something soon, Pacquiao even said maybe, maybe. Maybe I'll join up with Lenny. Did he say that? I'm not sure. Anyway, I read that somewhere. But he may, he goes, you never know what may happen. So it's, we don't know what happened. But if they don't team up, the Marcus money, it's going to be hard to beat that. He's got the troll arm. He's got all these, he has a lot of money going behind him. And I think that if they don't figure something out amongst themselves, she is going to be right now, as of today, it's her, looks like it's her against him. People are sort of like forgetting about some of the other candidates. Now, that may change a lot, but I think if they don't figure out a way to come together, I think it's going to be a hard one to beat the Marcus money because he's got a lot of it.
Yeah, plus don't forget, there's a lot of, Marcos supporter. North is huge.
He's got the North.
He's got the North.
And with Duterte, he's also got a lot of the South too. A lot of the Visayan regions, and especially down in Mindanao. So I think it's going to be an uphill climb for Lalie if she becomes the deciding candidate, if she's the one that pretty much, is the breakthrough candidate that's going to go up against Marcos, because she basically is the anti-Marcos candidate.
Oh yeah, because that's her, it's like her campaign is like, I don't want the Marcos to be back in power, things like that. That's why.
Well, she said that's the reason why she's running.
Yeah, that's the reason. So, and some people say, so she. I don't think that's a good, well, I don't know, but,
Yeah, I think that'll be forgotten too, because, she'll start coming out with her policies and so forth for the Philippines. And I think, she'll probably have some really good ones. She's done a lot of really good things, and she's a very simple person. If you look, I learned a lot about her this week from the blasts of stuff that was coming in Facebook about her this week. So I learned a lot about Lenny, and she doesn't live a lavish lifestyle. She lives, she's one of those politicians for the people. But does a politician who's good for the people, especially for the people of the middle class and the poor levels of the society, are those the people that win elections?
That's a good question. So we'll see it next year. And not only that, Lenny's, I know she's already, talking to a lot of even Rotary Club all over.
Yeah, she was talking to the Rotary Club last week.
Yes.
It came out on a Zoom meeting. She talked to Lacain last week. So, there's, I'm waiting to see what the final what he's finally going to say, because he seemed like he was really mad. But of course, there's going to be tons of drama that we're going to be able to talk about. But speaking of drama, Lalie Tolentino, we are at the dramatic end of our show.
As always.
We are at the dramatic end. But thank you, everyone, for joining us this week. All the people that sent in the great questions. Like I said, we have the smartest audience in the Philippines here on the show. And they send us such great questions. So for me, Eric Lecain, and Lalie Tolentino here on the World News Jam on DZRJ and RJTV, everybody, please join us again next week for more questions, more interesting discussions. We'll see you then. Everybody, be safe out there. See you next week.
The views and comments of the hosts and guests are not necessarily those